Symbols are older than writing, older than every religion, empire, and scientific model that has ever tried to explain the human world. Across millennia, long before the first alphabet was carved into stone, human beings used shapes, circles, triangles, spirals, intersecting lines, to communicate ideas that could not be spoken. And some of those shapes appear again and again in cultures separated by oceans, deserts, and thousands of years. This is where the mystery begins. Not with a document, not with a legend, but with a recurring pattern, a symbol that seems to follow humanity through time. The Naacal symbol. In the world of this narrative, the Naacal symbol is a geometric structure, a triangle enclosing concentric circles, intersected by a vertical axis, like a silent mechanism. Simple enough to draw in a second, yet powerful enough to appear across civilizations that never communicated with one another. A persistent fingerprint, as if different cultures were trying to describe the same invisible concept using the same visual grammar. Versions of this symbol appear in pre-Vedic India, Tibetan Bon tradition, Olmec and early Maya carvings, Minoan labyrinth motifs, pre-dynastic Egyptian signs, and even in the petroglyphs of the American Southwest. Not identical, but unmistakably relate. Anthropologists call these shapes archetypal geometries, patterns that emerge independently because they resonate with something fundamental in the human mind. They capture attention. They trigger memory. Why? They feel meaningful even when we don't know why. But what if they are more than coincidence? What if they form a code, a perceptual technology older than writing? To answer that, we must go back to the beginning, back to the figure that gave the protocol its name. In the late 1800s, several explorers and writers described a mysterious brotherhood called the Naacal, said to be guardians of an ancient knowledge inherited from a vanished civilization, perhaps Mu, perhaps another prehistoric culture lost to time. These writings were controversial, difficult to verify, and often dismissed as fantasy. But they contained one contribution that is impossible to ignore. The idea that the Naacal used symbols not simply to record information, but to shape consciousness. According to these accounts, symbols were not decorations. They were tools, keys for teaching, for memory, for perception, for altering the way the mind engaged with reality. Whether these stories were literal, exaggerated, or symbolic themselves remains unknown. But the concept they propose resonates with something that modern neuroscience is only beginning to understand. Today, research on neurosymbolic processing reveals that the brain reacts to geometric shapes in ways completely different from how it processes language. A word passes through linguistic regions and analytical highways. A symbol, on the other hand, can activate emotional centers, spatial memory, pattern recognition systems, deep associative networks. This means a simple geometric figure can influence how we interpret what comes next, how we store information, and even how we feel. Imagine a culture that discovered this thousands of years ago. Imagine they built a system, a language of shapes, to encode concepts, instruct initiates, or guide perception. Imagine they refined it so precisely that the structure of the symbol was the message itself. This is the philosophical heart of the Naacal symbol. A geometry of meaning. Now, let's jump forward in time, to Silesia, to the Ahnenerbe, and to the sealed tunnels beneath the Owl Mountains. During the last phase of World War II, the scientific branch of the SS gathered studies on symbols, perception, and esoteric traditions. Their goal wasn't spiritual, it was ideological, psychological, and scientific. They believed that symbols held perceptual power and that understanding them could affect behavior, loyalty, and interpretation. When Allied forces entered certain underground sites, they found symbols etched into the walls, including forms eerily similar to the Naacal symbol. Not German markings. Not engineering diagrams. Something older, yet deliberately placed. Were these simply remnants of the Ahnenerbe's broad and often chaotic research? Or were they fragments of a deeper experiment, an attempt to reconstruct a symbolic system meant to influence perception on a cognitive level? In the novel, this becomes one of the central discoveries, that the Naacal symbol is not merely a piece of ancient geometry but a bridge, a point where prehistoric symbolic knowledge and modern research attempt to meet. A pattern capable of triggering a specific perceptual response, like a key turning an invisible lock in the mind. In real life, we cannot confirm this, but we also cannot dismiss the possibility, because the pattern is real, the repetition is real, the power of symbols is real, and the human mind is far more susceptible to these structures than we like to admit. Ancient civilizations believed that symbols could guide consciousness. Modern intelligence agencies study how symbols affect attention and interpretation. Somewhere in between lies the world of the Naacal Protocol, the idea that meaning can be engineered through geometry and that the right pattern can do more than communicate. It can influence. In the next episode, I will introduce Base 211 and the connections the novel draws between the ancient knowledge of the Naacal, the monstrous ambitions of the Nazi underground projects in Silesia, and the modern geopolitical battlefield of the war in Ukraine. A thread that stretches from prehistory to 1945, and all the why to the present. My name is Adelio Debenedetti, and this is my novel. Follow additional content on www.protocollonaakal.it/blog to discover the documents and the historical research behind this story. And don't forget to follow the podcast for new episodes of the Naacal Protocol.